Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Game Over. My name is Liz, and I'm here to cover a 2-0 Winnipeg Jets big fat loss tonight with the one and only Mitchell Thompson from the Bandwagon Hockey Podcast. So at least there's a silver lining to the evening because I get to talk to Mitch. Mitch, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, Alyssa. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
That was rhetorical. You don't need to answer that if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, I am doing just fine. Because that wasn't like a horrible game. Just pulled up a little hockey stat card just to take a quick look, make sure that, my brain's in line where with everything's at. Offense, all in the negatives tonight. These guys, they were cooking up nothing. They were absolutely cooking up nothing. But we're going to talk about it anyway, and we're going to find a way to make something out of it. So for everyone who's here live in the chat, thank you so much for being here. If you're listening back tomorrow morning or whenever you listen to your podcast, we appreciate the support. Let's dive into this a little bit. So we're going to talk about a couple different things that kind of happened over the course of the game. But I just got to say, the first goal, it was a goal. It happened. It was whatever. That second goal, I feel like that was one of the more like deflating goals I felt in a while. There was like some pressure building up. I felt like the Jets were doing a little bit more to kind of, get the ball rolling a little bit. And then that Tyler second goal, man, as a more objective party in this game, Mitch, than I am, how did that goal make you feel?
I mean, so I like the game itself for 58 minutes was just a complete snooze fest. But I was so ready for that score effects final 3 minutes to kick in on Winnipeg's end and to see them press a little bit and try to tie the game up. And then I forget who had it for Dallas, but I saw Sagan just streaking down the wing on that 2-on-1, and he just kind of had that little tap in back door to put it up 2-0, kind of seal the game away. And as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, I'm up off the couch. I'm gonna go get ready to do game over because this game's done. And I wasn't in a mindset where I wanted to do that at that point.
Oh, literally, I know. It's so discouraging, but I feel like that was kind of a summation of how the game went on my end. So yeah. I feel like I'm gonna start with a monologue because that's just what I like to do. And I think I want to talk about kind of the situation going into this game where Jets are coming off a loss. It is what it is. Teams lose. Good teams lose all the time. But this was a really important game for the Winnipeg Jets. Second time playing Dallas this season. I want to say the first one was a loss too. I didn't watch that game. I was like at a conference or in Toronto or something like that. And tonight going into this one, again, lost to a division matchup last game. Coming into who is, in my opinion, the best team in the Central Division right now. I know Colorado's ahead of them in the standings, but a very strong team in the Dallas Stars with a legitimate chance to shake up the standings a little bit with a win in this one. They obviously want to win. It's Rick Bowness' first game at home since he came back to join the team. Like, just things are moving in the right direction for the Jets, but they need to win games like this. What are your thoughts on the Central Division right now and how things are kind of stacking up and how this game sort of shifts where the Winnipeg Jets feel and how they feel comfortable where they're at now, more secure in that third spot in the Central?
Yeah, I don't think this game changes anything. I think Dallas and Colorado are head and shoulders above everyone in the division. Because it's hockey, I could see Winnipeg sneaking in and grabbing home ice in the first round, finishing second in the division or something. But I also think Winnipeg is in their own tier in that division. So I would have Dallas as my cup pick coming into this year. So I'd put Dallas and Colorado head and shoulders above Winnipeg, who are then probably head above the rest of the division because it's just not that good of a division this year. It's very top heavy. You could argue that the two best teams in the West are in that division.
That's bold.
On any given night.
That's bold.
Any given night, I think like either of those teams could beat Vegas in a playoff series. Colorado has before, and Dallas is my cup pick. So you can make the argument they're not right now, but I think the argument's there. But then you could argue that there's 5 teams in the West that probably might not sniff a playoff race. Maybe St. Louis just by default, but I don't know. I don't think this changed much of my opinion of the Central Division tonight.
See, and that's probably a more level-headed take than where a lot of us are at, but I think a lot of Jets fans were really starting to get a little confident in this team, a little arrogant in this team. We were like, it's rolling. This team is good. They're kicking. And I don't know. I think we were developing a little bit of an overconfidence. And you're right. Like, I think in the grand scheme of things, this shouldn't change. Because if anyone had the Winnipeg Jets as far and away better than either of those two teams, they were probably, a little delusional.
Yeah.
But I think it's humbling, but also like it's within reach. It's within reach because watching this game tonight, I could see why Dallas is so good. But also, the Winnipeg Jets managed them better than I think the result makes it feel like they did. 2-0 is, that's a nothing score. Like, anyone can score 2 goals or 0 goals in a game. But I think the Winnipeg Jets actually did a decent job of containing some of the more, offensive weapons on this Dallas team tonight and sort of limited them a little bit more than they possibly could have. What did you think of Dallas's kind of big guys tonight and how Winnipeg was able to manage them decently?
I had to check in the second period to make sure Jason Robertson wasn't hurt. I didn't see him. That's supposed to be a heart guy, and I had to go and check my phone and check the roster and check the injury list to see if he was playing in the game because I didn't notice him. I noticed like Tyler Seguin, I think, was Dallas's best forward tonight. I noticed him a lot. I love Wyatt Johnston, but I just didn't notice him a lot. Rupe Hintz is always flying, but he wasn't producing much tonight. Pavelski scored, but other than that, like, again, it was kind of one of his classic net front goals. Besides that, I didn't notice a much from him. Like, I thought that Dallas's stars weren't really starring tonight. But good teams win games like that. So, like, Ottinger was awesome. Like, I think Dallas is normally a pretty big Corsi team too, and Winnipeg outshot them pretty handily. I think the shots were like 29-20 or something. 29-21 maybe. And yeah, I don't know. I thought Winnipeg was solid. They just, I don't know, they lost, and that's kind of just what happens. It's November. I'm not too worried about it if I'm a Jets fan.
Yeah.
Dallas is a really good team. They're probably going to win a playoff round this year. So, yeah, I don't know.
100%. I think this game to me was so much more about the defense than it was about the offense. And you're right that's how you win those championships and things like that. And I think one thing that I really noticed tonight is that Dallas did such a good job of managing Winnipeg's breakouts and break-ins. And what I mean by that is I felt like there was so much back and forth. It was so funny. I was describing it over text to my co-host of SDPN Game Over Winnipeg, Brady, and I'm pretty sure he thought I was having a stroke because I was like, goal line, blue line, goal line, red line, back to blue line. And like there was so much back and forth because Winnipeg just could not exit. And it wasn't even exiting the zone necessarily, but they just couldn't break up the ice nice and cleanly. And every time they did get to the Dallas blue line, entering along the boards was just not happening. They were getting snuffed out immediately, and it just resulted with a little chip, and Dallas plays a deeper, I think they play 3 back on their defense, so they weren't retrieving the pucks, or Winnipeg wasn't retrieving the pucks is what I'm trying to say. And it was just like nothingness. Like there was no offensive creation at 5-on-5 or at 5-on-4 or 5-on-3, but we'll get there.
Or 5-on-3, yeah.
Oh. Now can you hear me?
We're good now?
Winnipeg's offense was really well.
Oh my God.
My computer is just, it hates me.
I don't know if it's my end or yours.
No, it's me. It's me. Don't worry, it's me.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, what did you think of Dallas's defense tonight and just kind of how they managed the Winnipeg Jets, all 4 lines?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier how Winnipeg really outshot Dallas, but I just thought it was a pretty soft shutout for Ottinger, which is a good thing. Like that's me complimenting Dallas's defense. Like even like I assume we're gonna get to this eventually, but the power plays from Winnipeg's end were like they were pathetic. They couldn't generate anything. A lot of trying to force stuff. I don't know if that's a consistent theme with the Jets power play. But in terms of zone entries and controlling the puck in the offensive zone, like it just wasn't happening. It just seemed like Dallas was, like you mentioned before, they were snuffing everything out as soon as they could, and the Jets just couldn't really gain any offensive momentum, which again is a compliment to Dallas's defense. But that's kind of Dallas's identity, right? Like they've got their great players, but they shut things down, and they've got a world-class goalie to back it up.
100%. And I think, you know what? You brought it up. I brought it up. And it's the talk of the game. We got to get back to it. So a little bit of context for you, Mitchell. It was a real bad stretch for the Winnipeg Jets. with their power play, and then it was better. And then things got a little bit better, and we were feeling okay. We weren't feeling great. We were feeling okay. But tonight, 2 5-on-3s, and like legitimate 5-on-3s, not like 2 extra seconds that happens to be tacked on to the end of a power play or something. 2 legitimate 5-on-3s. I don't know the last time I've seen that in a game that a team got probably over a minute and a half worth of 5-on-3 time and fumbled immensely. What did you think of that 5-on-3, and what went wrong for the Winnipeg Jets?
Well, they were bad, and it's like every player on the team, every player on that power play just thought that Kyle Connor was the only guy on the ice. Like Perfetti and who's the net front guy?
Iafallo
and Perfetti, like just standing there. I mean, like get someone down behind the net, try to generate something. It was just Morrissey and Scheifele going back and forth, trying to go cross seam to Connor constantly. I don't know what the general consensus on Mark Scheifele is in Winnipeg. I know what it is around the league. I just think you got to get Nick.
My hot take is coming. Don't worry.
Okay, I hope I agree with it. I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to try to beat a dead horse because I feel like Winnipeg's like way too familiar with this. I feel like anyone watching this show is way too familiar with this, but I don't even want to mention Nick Ehlers' name, but like, why isn't he on the top power play? I don't like his numbers don't seem great. I haven't watched him a ton, but I know that's been a theme for like the last half decade. So I don't know if that's even a can worth opening up, but that power play was so stagnant. It was really crap.
Yeah. And I think the thing that drives me the craziest about it too is that like it's some of it is like continuation from 5-on-5 also. Like I find that the Jets play such perimeter puck movement even at 5-on-5, where if a defenseman has the puck, he is passing it to the other defenseman, shooting it, or ringing it around the boards. There is never any fun, exciting, like Adam Fox-esque movement around the corners and passing across to random players and trying to do something creative with it. Like the Winnipeg Jets play a lot of really predictable hockey, I find, when they have possession. It's when they're a little bit like out of position or like not quite set up yet that I find they make their most exciting moves. So at the 5-on-3, when it's so easy to maintain possession, like I could sit there, I could take 6 shots of tequila, and I could probably sit there and still blink and say I know exactly where this puck is going to go every single time someone gets the puck. Like they are so predictable with their passes. They are always trying to get it to the flank, to Kyle Connor. And you know what? I think it's time for my hot take. But before I do that, actually, I want to hear your thoughts on Mark Scheifele, because my hot take is about Mark Scheifele, and I want to know. I have a feeling we're actually going to have like crazy different takes on this, so maybe it's time to have a little bit of an argument.
I think I don't think 31 teams would have been in on Mark Scheifele had he hit the trade market or the free agent market or anything. But however many teams out of those 31 teams that don't have Mark Scheifele were interested in acquiring his services should probably thank their lucky stars they didn't.
Oh, Mitch.
I don't want to slander like you guys. I don't even know how he's perceived around the fan base. I don't want to call him like your franchise player because he's not, but
yeah,
he's paid like it, so I guess we can call him that. I hope I'm not ruffling a bunch of feathers here. Like, what were you going to say?
So I'm going to go to the other end of the earth on this one. So Mark Scheifele is perceived very differently by a lot of different Jets fans. And my take is this. I think Mark Scheifele has the potential to be just as much, if not more, of an offensive weapon than Kyle Connor if he was treated the same way. And what I mean by that is, why won't this man shoot? Why is this man constantly looking around and saying, what can I do to get Kyle Connor the puck? Why is he just completely becoming like Sigma male out here, like as soon as Kyle Connor is on the ice with him, and doesn't play the kind of good hockey that Mark Scheifele can play? I don't like that duo together. They have like snippets of really fun times, and that's it. They have flashes that are so good and so exciting, but we are not seeing the best of Mark Scheifele right now, and it's because he's playing with Kyle Connor. That's my crazy hot take. What is the debate term? The rebuttal. Rebuttal. It's time for your rebuttal. Go ahead.
My question is your wording. You said how Scheifele's treated. Is he forced into this role, or is he just a passive player?
Because here's the thing is what I've heard, I'm not like an insider, but some of the like people that I've talked to that, know the team really well say that Mark Scheifele, like, wants to play with Kyle Connor. Like, he very much, like, always is like, I want to play with Kyle Connor. Like, if you win, like, the coaching, like, if the coach likes you, you get to play with Kyle Connor, sort of thing. That's what I've heard, at least.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if he wants to play with Kyle Connor and that's like your reward for being the best center on the team, then I don't know. I don't want to read too much into like the wording of how Scheifele's treated, but it kind of seems like he's in the best. Like, who would you have him playing with? If not the best player on this team.
I want him to play with the best type of players to fit his style. And I think that Cole Perfetti needs to play with Kyle Connor, because I think that Cole Perfetti's best skill set and the best that we're going to see of Cole Perfetti is when he's dishing the puck to people who know how to shoot properly. And I'm not trying to dunk on Ehlers or Nemestikov in any capacity. And I know, obviously, Ehlers can shoot. But I want Ehlers playing with Scheifele, and I want Perfetti playing with Kyle Connor. I think that's when we're going to see better versions of all four of those players at the same time.
Who was Scheifele playing with last year?
I wish I knew. I want to say we played a lot of Connor Scheifele Wheeler last year, but I actually don't remember. I think I blocked out a lot of last year because we would have... But that's not true, because Pierre-Luc Dubois was playing a little bit with Connor too. We don't see Scheifele Ehlers, though. That much I can tell you for free, is we don't see a lot of Scheifele Ehlers. And I think that if Ehlers is a very creative and fun player. I think if he was doing those creative, weird, fun things with Mark Scheifele, I think Mark Scheifele has the shooting talent. I think Mark Scheifele has the vision to create some really fun and exciting offense with him.
I just looked at Ehlers' player card. I didn't know he was 27 years old. That's such a bummer. I thought he was way younger than that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I see the point you're trying to make. So I don't know if maybe it's just been an approach to his role change from Scheifele, because he scored 42 last year and was... I don't know if he was like way above his career shooting percentage. I'd have to check. But
yeah, I couldn't tell you either.
I mean, like, the guy's playing on the top line with the best players on the team and is on the flank of a power play. I mean, I don't watch enough Jets fans, I think, to give like enough Jets games to give like a truly like in-depth take. Like, give me 5-10 games and I can probably be even more informed. But like, I've got the world's smallest violin for this guy and his issues. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
No, people have been so hot, cold, whatever on Mark Scheifele. Like, he's just been, and I always describe him as a little bit of a sibling, in the sense where, like, I will get really frustrated with Mark Scheifele and I'll be like, ugh, Mark Scheifele, whatever. But when someone else who's not a Jets fan is like, oh yeah, Mark Scheifele is bad, I'm like, oh, do you know what you're saying here? Because I don't know. Like, I get defensive of him, even though I'm probably his biggest critic, kind of thing. So, but I feel like, honestly, every hockey fan is probably like that with their team. So, I'm not nothing original or crazy like that. So I just think that Mark Scheifele is trying to be Kyle Connor's center instead of being just the center, And I feel like that was evident on the power play as well, where Mark Scheifele was, like, 5 years ago about to set a record for how many goals scored by a single player in the playoffs ever. Like, like you said, 42 goals last year. Like, he is a really, really good shooter. And he, like, even that one little net drive that he had towards Ottinger, that was really fun at that one point when the Jets were starting to pick up the pressure a little bit. Like, and he's not just, like, a one-timer shooter guy. Like, he's a very good goal scorer, just, like, straight up. And I just wish that he wasn't trying so hard to be a playmaker and a passer for Kyle Connor,
Yeah. No, I definitely get what you mean. Like, his best season, maybe besides a little bit earlier in his career, but, like, was last year when he scored 40 goals. And put up, I just looked at his card. His points were in the 60s, so he wasn't playing much of a playmaker role last year. And obviously he was playing with playmakers last year, like Blake Wheeler was on his line, who's gone. Who else was he playing with last year? It was Wheeler and who? Connor sometimes. Okay.
Dubois also played some way. I don't know. And I'm seeing people in the chat are saying that I'm crapping on Scheifele, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm actually trying to like
No, that's me.
galaxy
That's
brain
me
a
doing
whole
that.
like 180. Like I think he's actually that good offensively. I do really think he is. I feel like he's trying to be somebody he's not, you know? Like I feel like that's the vibe I'm getting right now.
Well, that's what was happening is he was trying to force passes to Kyle Connor, and that's why the 5-on-3s weren't working.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know. Like sorry, go on.
No, and then I was just like this whole like discussion now about like his role and his usage stems from how I guess like you mentioned how he's treated. So I was interested to know like, oh, okay, is this like a coaching thing or is this just Mark Scheifele being a passive player? And that's kind of where I was coming from because I don't know. Like that's a question I actually had. So
yeah, no, and I'm wondering maybe too if it's like you won the Kyle Connor sweepstakes, you get to play with him on his line. He's like, I want to make sure he scores goals so I can keep him, kind of thing. But I just feel like we're not getting the best output out of the two of them by keeping them together right now. I really, really don't, and I do think it is the kind of like duo that I'd love to throw out there. Like after you have like a power kill or something like that, and you really want to score a goal, like throw them out for like 2 shifts a game, like just for some fun. But I think as like a stable line mate, I want to see some changes.
oh yeah, there's some redundancy there. Yeah, for sure.
And Thursday is the Jets' next game, and Gabe Vilardi might be back on Thursday. So I feel like that's like he's probably going to jump up on that line with the two of them. So I don't expect to see any shifts. But the fact that Ehlers was bumped up to that line tonight, let's actually talk about that a little bit. Like there were some line shifts over the course of this game. Ehlers got bumped up to play with Connor and Scheifele. What did you think of that?
It was okay. I didn't find it terribly impressive, but like the Jets weren't very impressive tonight. Like that'd be a wicked line if it could just stick like that for a bit. How's Bonus with like line combinations? Does he change them a lot?
So here's the thing. Last year he did a little bit. He's been gone for a while. This is his second game back with the team. So in the last little bit, the Jets have been pretty solid in their injury decided changes. Like there haven't been a lot of like there's no Sheldon Keefe blender out there like the but I think he's open to it. I don't know. He be sneaky like that.
Has Ehlers ever gotten like an extended run playing with 2 of the best players on the team on a line?
No.
Yeah, see, so like that's why I'd be fired up about that line if I'm a Jets fan because I don't know, like I keep tabs on teams, but there's so many teams, but like it just kind of feels like the common I guess narrative league wide in terms of the Jets is that they've got this Ferrari in their garage that they just haven't been using for the last, oh God, when was he drafted? 2014? When was his first year? Maybe a year or two after that? Like,
it's 2 probably.
That's what, 7-8 years? Like, come on. Like, let's go. This like Nikolai Ehlers should legitimately be like a franchise winger. He should be a franchise winger. He should be Nylander's going crazy, but like remember those 2 guys were drafted together, and that's always the comparison is that like Ehlers and Nylander because they were drafted back to back way back when. Mm-hmm. Like Ehlers should be on that level. Like he should be a perennial 70 to 80 point guy, except for he plays 15 minutes a night and doesn't play on the power play.
Yeah, well, and part of that reason I feel like right now is because they love their third line so much, but it's always been the case. But I've heard that like the conspiracy around the power play in particular, and maybe it's not even a conspiracy, just like the take around the power play is that Nikolai Ehlers is like, I want my own unit, and they're like, okay, but it's not going to be the first one, and he's fine with that sort of thing, right? Because he's just
like why? Why does he want his own unit?
My dad and I always argue about this because my dad's like, my dad doesn't think that a lot of players necessarily probably enjoy playing with Nikolai Ehlers off the get-go. He's like, he's so random. He's so chaotic. And I'm like, I know, but it's fun. And like, if you can keep up, you're going to be on a good line if you get
That's
to
a
Nikolai
good
Ehlers.
thing.
I know, it's fun. It's so...
No, but for productivity wise, like that's a good thing. If you're a vanilla player, like the other team's going to be able to stop you.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's what happens when you have the like super typical D to D down to the guy on the flank. He tries to shoot. There's no one net front. And then Dallas scoops up the rebound and back we go kind of thing happens. Like that doesn't happen when Nikolai Ehlers is on the ice because either the defense doesn't get a chance to set up because there's some fun off the rush zone entry that's created a fun chance already, or he's just like driving the net and then swinging back and making a really fun pass and pulling people out of position a little bit or something like that. I don't know. Like, he plays really fun hockey, and I feel like that's when the Winnipeg Jets are scoring right now, right? Because they've been so good this season, and it's because they're playing, and I've said this a couple times already, and it's true, and it sucks, and I'll keep saying it. They were playing Vegas type hockey where the defense into offense shift was so fast, and that's how they were able to generate as many explosive chances as they were, because they weren't 5 guys set up inside the blue line. They're 3 guys coming off the rush and then dropping back and then doing that thing where they enter on the flank and then the defenders come and they try and collect that winger a little bit, but then the winger throws it back to the defender, who passes it to the other defender who's wide open on the far side because everyone's collapsed on that puck because of the entry sort of thing. Like that's where they were scoring their goals, is before they could set up in the offense, which is so weird because you think you should be better when you have control, but I find that they're better when they don't, you know?
The thing about when you're in control is that usually the defense is in control.
Yeah, but the Jets,
and that's why hockey is so stupid. Hockey is so stupid because the players are so good, and these defensemen and these forwards are so good at defending, most of them, that when you're set, they're also probably set.
Yeah, no, you know what? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe I'm being too hard on them. Maybe I'm being too hard on them,
but like, your points are valid though. Like it's frustrating when your team can't score when they're set and they're actually running what they practice, because no one, like, you're not really practicing all the random stuff, right? You're practicing the set plays. But that's kind of that's how hockey's won, and is which teams are best when they're set, because the randomness is just so random.
100%, yeah. Speaking of randomness, what did you think of that goal, that coach's challenge tonight on the first goal?
I didn't really know why. Like, I was like why? I don't know. What did you think about it?
I thought it was a weird choice to make, especially at that point in the game.
I was confused.
My only thing is, and I wasn't watching closely enough to see, like, you know, what Connor Hellebuck was up to or anything like that, but if he was, like, advocating like crazy, I feel like sometimes the coaches defer to the goaltender on that if the goalie's like, I really feel this way. So maybe he did, but just every replay I watched, I was like, it's not so bad that I don't get what you're trying to say, but I am understanding the message you're trying to convey. I just disagree with it, you know?
I have a hot take with video reviews.
Oh.
I don't watch them. If I find out something's under review, I go on my phone.
Interesting. Why?
And then whatever happens, because I've been burned too many times. I don't know the rules of this sport.
No, literally.
No one does. No one knows the rules. The refs don't. The refs aren't making the decision either. Like some guy in Toronto is.
Oh my gosh.
If I find out that there's a goal under review, or like an offside or something, I guess that leads to a goal or whatever. Like, I'll maybe watch the first review or two, and then I'm just like, okay, like, let me know what happens. Like,
that's so funny.
I tune it out. I don't care.
Oh, I'm the opposite. I become a professional in that moment. I'm like sitting there and I'm like, oh, no. Here's exactly what's happening right now. And then I watch from a different angle and I'm like, okay, I said that, but now I disagree.
And then when the call goes against you, you're like, wait, did they not see the angle that I saw? Because I had the right decision in my head.
Exactly. And once I've seen like all like 3 or 4 that they have, I'm like, my decision is right. And every now and then I finish. I'm like, I no idea where that's gonna go. We'll just, not a clue. We'll see what happens. They'll flip a coin and they'll make a call because I have no idea. Tonight was not one of those nights. I knew exactly what the call was gonna be, and I couldn't even bring myself to be bummed about it. I was just like, yeah.
I just thought of like a big reason for why I am the way I am with video review.
Oh.
Because every single okay, here's the thing. Why isn't every single coach 100% successful with video review? These guys get like 45 seconds to look it over in slow motion with an headpiece that's going up to their like press box or front office or whatever, who are also looking at this thing from every angle before they even decide if they want to look at it.
Yeah.
This is not like this is Ryan and I have talked about this so many times on our podcast. Why is that a thing? Why don't coaches just have to review based off of what they see in real life? Why do they get to look at the same replays that we do before they get to challenge?
Well, I mean,
Why are they standing on an iPad when they get to challenge?
I mean, think about it though. When you play hockey, like every time my team would score and I was on the bench, I had no idea what the heck was going on. Like you can't see anything from that angle. Like you can, like you know what sort of happened, but to have the ability to like make a call, definitely not. I feel like you have to watch.
I disagree. I think the refs have to judge everything in real time. I think that if you're gonna instill video review, which obviously the NHL has over the last however many years, I think it would add to the skill of a coach and to the intuition of the players. Like it would be more entertaining if you actually had no idea. If a coach had like a sinking feeling, like if it looked offside, like, oh, that looked offside and they scored 10 seconds later, like I'm gonna challenge that. Or it would get rid of those. Actually, this is the other thing too: is it would get rid of those super tedious offside reviews that are inconsequential.
I hate offside reviews.
That's the other thing, is that we've come to this decision, Ryan and I, that like these should be judged in real time because it would get rid of those like super close ones.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I do not. I no, because no one's ever gonna make a call. Then that's so high risk, high reward. And we know that NHL coaches don't really do that. If they did, they'd be pulling the goalie with 7 minutes left in the third.
But that's when you would then trust your players, because the players would see it too. Your assistant coaches would see it. Okay. Your backup goalie, your goalie, like it's not just the one coach, right? Like, I'm just saying, get rid of the 10 different angles within the span of 40 seconds after the play's done, with the ref holding his finger or the coach holding his finger up while he's looking down at his iPad, listening to what his video director has to say about the goal. I don't know. That's just me.
So your alternative would be like a 20-second team huddle where they're like, should we do this? And then
not even. I think like if you haven't challenged by the time like a line change would have happened, because like it's at a whistle, right? So it's in between plays. Like if the linesman's ready to drop the puck, like you can't challenge, maybe. I don't know.
Interesting.
Because that takes a second, right? Like if you're changing lines, that takes 10, 15 seconds. Maybe you make it so that, I don't know. I just don't think that a coach, or you could do the same amount of time, but just no technology on the bench or something, which is impossible. It's 2023. But like, I just heavily disagree with the idea that replays can happen after a coach literally sees a review.
Yeah, no, and I guess that's fair, because I think the thing is, and that's part of the reason that, like, you know, we're critical on refs and stuff like that, when people will have, like, the 8 slow motion videos of someone's suspension and be like, how is this not called? I'm like, yeah, because you watched 8 angles of slow motion when the ref saw it happen in a split second. So I like that, I am kind of on your side in that sense of, like, how was the ref supposed to know, but also, like, I don't find that, like, when they have the coaches' reviews, it's like, oh, the ref screwed that up by calling it a goal at the time. But, like, you know, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by the idea, and I'm not going to write it off. I'm not going to say I hate it, even though I said I hated it, like, 2 minutes ago. You've convinced me to consider it. I'm sitting on this one for a while. I'm going to put a pin in it, and I'm going to think about it. Next time there's a coaches' challenge, I'm going to, like, see, like, oh, my God, is this so lame? Like, or would the players on the ice have seen this from the same angle? Because no one's seeing the bird's eye, like, above the whatever angle, right? Yeah. So, interesting.
And the other thing too is like it would add to the skill of a coach, right?
True.
Like if someone tells me that Rick Bowness has a 77% conversion rate on coaches' challenges, I'm like, okay, good job, Winnipeg Jets. Like, that's not him.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
But
yeah,
I don't know. That's just like a tiny little gripe I've had for a while. And just especially because I'm like a big baseball guy too, and baseball was first to this with video review. They give each team like almost over a minute to like check in with the replays and stuff, and they're literally like saying, "Hold on, like pause the game, like timeout. We're gonna decide if we want to review this." Yeah. I've never liked it, and now the NHL's been doing that lately too.
That's fair. I will say, it pales in comparison to having to watch a player frame by frame lift his skate off of a blue line or not for like 6 minutes after the challenge actually, like, they're like, okay, we're gonna challenge, and then we sit for like 6 minutes and what? Oh my gosh, that's insufferable, especially when it's offside. I am an offside review hater, especially, I'm saying especially like 8 times. We're stacking it up. This is my worst case scenario ever. When it's like 45 seconds of possession time before the goal was scored anyway, I'm like, shut up, that's so irrelevant at this point. Like, how many, I don't know, I guess
and it would get rid of those. It would get rid of those.
It's true.
Like, video review was brought in to avoid Matt Duchene going offside by 10 feet and scoring a goal. not my skate blade being a hair's width off the ice.
Exactly.
Across the line. So like getting rid of the review on the bench would get rid of those too. I don't know. It's just a dumb thing that I've had in my head as a nerdy hockey fan.
No, that's fair. And I feel like it's good conversation, even though based on the one we had tonight, not that was just a challenge that probably shouldn't have been made anyway. It barely affected the way Connor Hellebuyck moved in any capacity. So pretty much anyone who would have seen that on the ice would have been like, nah, like, I don't see it. But who knows?
I was caught off guard by it.
Yeah. No, me too. I already thought we were moving on. And then I was like, oh, wait, just kidding. We're still here. Yeah. But those are kind of the main storylines I wanted to talk about in tonight's game. Before we sign off for the evening and you know, go cry about being a 2L team instead of a 5W team. Anything else you want to add about this Jets team that you saw tonight? Anything else about this game or going forward for the Jets that you, with your objective, not as much of a hater / lover as I am of this team, any final thoughts?
I want to know. I actually have a question about who's wasn't in the game. What's up with Velarde? Why is he been hurt for so long? Where's he gonna play when he gets back? Is he gonna slide into the top 6 or what?
So he got hurt in game 3 of the season.
Yeah.
Super fine. Yeah. This is so embarrassing. I want to say MCL sprain, ACL strain, one of the two. I can't remember, and that's terrible Jets fan of me. But
something to do with the knee.
Something to do with the knee. And got hurt against the LA Kings, obviously, because why wouldn't he? He'll be back in the top 6 for sure. Hopefully on Thursday. He was practicing.
Sick. Like,
so good, and I think he's exactly what this top 6 needs to liven it up a little bit. So I think they throw him back in right where he left off, which was up top with Connor and Scheifele. But the issue is, at that time, Alex Iafallo was playing on the 3rd line. Vlad Nemestikov was on the 4th line. Nino Niederreiter was on the 2nd, and we were all over the place. They're not going to touch the 3rd line of Nino Niederreiter, Mason Appleton, and Adam Lowry. They love that line too much, and at this point, I don't think they should touch it. So what it looks like most realistically is that Alex Iafallo would probably fall onto the 4th line, which I don't think they want to do either. So I'm very intrigued to see, because I know long term, I'm sure they want Vlad Nemestikov on the 4th line and Alex Iafallo and Nino Niederreiter both in the middle 6 in some capacity, but they just don't want to screw with that 3rd line right now. So I feel like they're going to leave it and then either bump Nemestikov down, and then what that would look like is probably Cole Perfetti sliding back into the center on that line, playing with Nikolai Ehlers and Alex Iafallo. They also have had Cole Perfetti running a couple random stints, like taking a couple draws, playing a couple shifts at center and stuff like that. So I do think they want to move him back into the center position eventually. Just don't know if it's the fit right now kind of thing. Long and the short of it is, I want to say come Thursday, if we get to see Gabe Velarde, and it's sounding like we might, I'm about to purchase tickets if I get to confirmation that he's going to be playing, because I'm so excited to have him back. I want to say we throw him back on the top line there. He plays with Connor and Scheifele, and then they go from there.
Give me Ehlers, Perfetti, Velarde on the 2nd line.
That sounds so good, but also
give me that
whatever the next line would be sounds terrible. Connor, Scheifele, Iafallo, Nemestikov. No, thank you. I don't want
do that. No, do that. Do it. Show me.
Just have the.
Give me that 2nd line. I don't care about Scheifele's line. Give me that 2nd line.
Yeah, it's like the new equivalent of like the McDavid Draisaitl line, and then they have just like a nonsense 2nd, 3rd, 4th line. That would.
Do you not like Iafallo?
I'm fine with him. He's not a top line winger, so there's that.
They should go get someone.
They should. Yeah. And I feel like they might. But I feel like that's a conversation for another day. Mitch,
that is a conversation for another guy. It's November.
Me on Game Over Winnipeg this evening. It's always a fun time to chat with you. Before we sign off, let the people know where they can find you, your show, what you guys talk about, and all that.
So I'm at mthompson5, 2 N's on Twitter. I do a podcast with my buddy Ryan. called the Bandwagon Hockey Podcast. We're small, but we do our best. We try to jump around as much as we can. We like to talk about all the teams as much as we can. We are a little bit Sens biased because we are both rooted in Ottawa, and we are part of the Hockey Podcasting Network. So if you want to give us a follow and give us a listen, that'd be very appreciated.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always good to have one of those shows in your back pocket that gives you a little bit of everything, because you can't, if you want to stay up to date with what's going on in the league, you can't listen to 32 individual team-centric shows. So it's great to have those that kind of cover a little bit of everything. So yeah, definitely check them out. So that is all for us this fine evening. Brady will be here on Thursday covering Brady and Zach will be here on Thursday with a game over head-to-head because we're playing an in-market game, so that's going to be a fun one. Zach and Brady are both very passionate individuals, to say the least, so we can all just hope that that's a 7-0 game, doesn't matter for who, just for the sake of having a really good game over show. So make sure you check that game out live on Thursday after the Jets game, or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your shows, to make sure you catch that one. Mitch, thank you again so much for joining me. Thank you everyone who is live in the chat this evening. Thank you to everyone listening back tonight, tomorrow, whenever you listen to your shows. We'll see you next time.